All right, Manuel. It's our first conversation here, giving this a try. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you, man. I admire what you do and everything. So, you know,
Excellent, man. Yeah, no, that's it's cool, man. I mean, we talk all the time, you know. We don't see each other often, but we're always talking, right? We're always chatting. So, I, to me, it feels like I don't know. It almost feels like I see you all the time because we're always on the chats
yeah.
and stuff. So it's nice. It's nice to be able to connect with you and stuff, you know?
Yeah. So first, let me present myself because a lot of people probably don't know me. My name is Luciano, but people know me by Lucesky. I'm an artist from Orlando area, and I decided to have this idea to after this quarantine to talk with people and get together because of it's crazy being inside a home.
Yeah.
And I'm talking with you, like Miguel. Present yourself a little bit, man.
Yeah, Miguel Bustamante, audio engineer, been working in the industry about 20 years. I have my company, Lucesky Productions, and also independent music publisher. So I do a little bit of everything with sound and with music. I work with artists and stuff like that. So I've been doing that for a long time. That's what I love.
Yeah, that is nice because we talk through WhatsApp basically every day. We have like
Every day.
so many groups there about. We try to separate into groups about
My
music,
God.
and we have about our political thing. We have about a group that we're trying to maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, to do like a little production between you, me, Wilfredo, Fercho, to create some beats and create some music. So yeah, I think that would be
Waiting,
cool.
Waiting for that one, man. I'm waiting. You saw they put in there. I'm losing my groove. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that first music to come through.
Yeah. So Emma,
Um,
so like you were in Orlando, you moved to Tampa. So how's life over there now?
um, it's nice, man. It's interesting because I moved in January over here, uh, and then my family ended up moving here in April. Um, but it almost worked out with the whole pandemic because Tampa is very outdoor friendly. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of things to do outdoors, and not with a bunch of people or in enclosed spaces. So uh, that has been very nice, right? Because we can escape to like the beach. We can go to the thousand parks that are right next door to us. There's a lot of wildlife around here. So it's been nice, man. I like Tampa. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. You know, I mean, I grew up in Orlando and I left for a long time, to work down in Miami, and then I came back. For I was back for 7 years, and then so it's nice, but I like Tampa. I think I like Tampa a lot, actually. My
Yeah,
family's liking it a lot too.
yeah, it's closer to the beach too, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
yeah. It's a bigger city. I mean, it seems like there's a lot more to do, right? But we're in a weird year where it's like we've kind of gotten to explore the city, but not like normal, right? So it's but it's cool. I mean, I'm working from home, so a lot of it is here, right? I'm here at home. The kids are at home. My wife, she works like literally like 5 minutes away from here. So a lot of it is being here, and we spend some time in Orlando too with family and stuff like that here and there.
Yeah, so our idea was basically to talk about this kind of freelancer versus working for a companies. So
Yeah,
how you see the future? Like you work with music production. A lot of people now have their home office, I believe. You can do your whole production at home. You buy your whole system, and you think that helps. What you think the difference between those two levels of business?
yeah. I think I've been. It's what I was talking to you about in that message. I've been on both sides, and I am currently now for me the best of both worlds too, right? Because I do both at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Um, but what is interesting is that when I graduated from school, um, and I went down to Miami to look for work in recording studios, um, it was right around the time where the iPod came out, right? So iPod came out, iTunes Store. So that completely. I mean, there was other things that revolutionized the music industry prior to that, but that was one of the things that kind of was like, boom, like, oh, okay, like we can have our music at our fingertips, all the music, right? As opposed to like maybe a Walkman from back in the day, which was a limited amount, right? But this was like at your fingertips, it's all there, right? And so everything was changing. Software was getting cheaper, still is getting cheaper. Um, and you were seeing a lot of that, right? Like home studios popping up. Um, so I've been able to kind of see that change and evolution as I've grown in the industry also. And honestly, I have to say that since the beginning, I've always thought that even if I didn't have all of the knowledge, I've always thought that it was actually a good thing, right? So at least in the music industry, I do feel like uh, the playing field is more level, right? There's not like certain gatekeepers in the way. Um, but there's a lot more noise too, right? So everybody's putting out music. Whoever wants to can, whether, I mean, good or bad, I think it depends on who's listening to it, right? Um, but I think it's great. I think there's more flexibility. You're more empowered as a creator also, right? So I think it's just about sometimes what it is maybe that it's a little overwhelming, right? Like the amount of stuff that you're ingesting on a daily basis, and then also the idea that, oh, I'm empowered to create on my own, but I don't know how to use all these tools, right? So now I have to learn all these tools on my own, right? And that can be overwhelming sometimes, right? And maybe there's not enough hours in the day to do all that too, right? Um, I'll start there. That's the short answer. I think we can
Yeah,
continue.
no, I see the difference because back in the days, like I'm from Brazil originally, and then I see the difference moving from, for example, going back to the cities. Like I came to Orlando, and I thought Orlando was a big city because, like, as a Brazilian, everybody knows that I didn't came with the intention of it. Tourism for Orlando was like an opportunity, and I was like, oh, Disney's there, so I always have the image of Orlando and Disney. So
Yeah,
when I came here, I thought it would be like that. I moved to a little street called International Drive. I was
yeah.
living there in a motel for for 2 weeks until I got my
Okay.
job. It was like really chaotic. But
On your own?
what?
You were by yourself?
I came in with two friends from Brazil.
Okay.
I came with an
That's crazy.
ex-girlfriend and a friend there. So we came to do I was supposed to be here for 3 months. And the whole experience was really was interesting to see different points. I came with the image about United States, talk about music. Like I used to play in a punk rock band, so I have always the image of like, oh, United States is so like imperialistic and
Yeah,
stuff like that from the punk rock lyrics
of
that I
course.
used to listen. And I get to know a lot of wonderful people that kind of open my mind in those other levels. That I was like, wow, it's really interesting. I love it. But at the same time, I didn't figure out the whole United States. Just Orlando is still really tourist, and it's
Yeah.
really like this whole mix of personalities and people from all over the United States. Basically, there's a lot of people from England and everything.
What year was that?
I got here in 2000, the end of 2006.
2006.
So
Okay.
I got here, the economy crashed. It was in the beginning of
Yeah.
2007. So it was kind of, I got to see the good. I saw the difference too. I remember seeing a lot of big cars and everything, but not running away. Like our conversation go all over. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's
Uh,
cool.
and then I became an artist since around 2010. I decided to paint, And I saw this struggle in between kind of working into companies. I used to work a lot of constructions, and two, I kind of now I'm a full-time artist.
Yeah.
Some of my art here, like a little bit. But I see always this battle. Then like, should I chase my dreams or not, or just it's always kind of this lack of. Of course, I'm talking about my opinion and how I'm working. Of course, there's artists that are really successful in what they do.
Yeah.
I'm okay what I like to do. You know, I can get along thanks to my wife, my family, and everything. But it's always the struggle, you know, for in the music industry. I think it's almost the same. And I like what you said about the technology changing and the whole industry change. You need to always kind of be following some kind of new trend, right? Because we have like Spotify back in the days. We have people signing up with labels and selling CDs and receiving the money from there and for their merch. And now I don't know how musicians produce money for themselves, you know.
Yeah. It's there's more options again. Like I'll go back to that. There's more options, but a lot of it, if you want success, whatever that success is, a lot of it lands on you. Whereas I think before, it wasn't that way, right? So there was before it was okay. You had the gatekeepers, right?
Mhm.
But in exchange for that limited access, when you did get in, a lot of them were fronting that risk, right? They were taking the risk for you. They were putting the money down, or they had the connections, right? So if you come in as an artist that is just talented, right? You're super talented. You know what to do. Um, Oftentimes, somebody comes in, an A&R from a label comes in, and like, oh, I like what you're doing. You know, they take you to the label. They present you. They make the case for who you are and your talent, and then the machinery starts moving, right? The machinery starts moving, and it starts happening. But I think uh, a lot of times things were lost in that process too, right? Because well, I think on one side, oftentimes artists were that's all they were, right? They were artists, and I think that that's a big deal because if you're able to focus on your talent, right, without having to focus on all of these other things in order to make this business be successful, um, that is a different. I don't know. Like I feel like you're creating at a different level versus this other person that's has their hands in everything in order to make this business be running, right? I don't think one is. I don't know if one is better than the other, right? But there has to be consequences to that, right? That difference in the way of managing things. But nowadays, you're, and I think I speak about present day, right? I think that there has been a lot of changes that have led up to this. But as of late, I would say that the key is in talking to the people that are interested in what you are creating,
Mhm.
right? At a very basic level. And I think that journey to find that fan base is the goal, right? Like you're an artist, you're a creator, um, because you in some essence, in some way, you want to share with others, right? You're externally wanting to put it out there, um, but you want to put it out there to those that are going to appreciate it. And I don't necessarily think that it means that you always have to speak to the people that agree with you, but at least they appreciate what you
Yeah.
do, right? And that can have many varying degrees of passion or of yeah, being what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I see
Um,
that. I see that with, for example, with my art, there's a lot of levels of how you produce. There's people that do realistic, there's people that do abstract art and change a lot. And with
mhm.
that change the taste of how people appreciate the art. But
Yeah.
you don't think with this new homemade thing. I'm not saying about the production, but people doing their own thing to start. It reduce a lot of the quality because they see like everybody can do it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I consider the punk rock from the '90s is basically you go in your garage, you don't have knowledge, you just start playing, and then you get better with time. But now you produce a song in one day, you put it online, is basically like you can explode overnight,
Yeah.
all without the same quality. Because I admire a lot this kind of do it yourself too,
Hmm.
but with that come it changes the whole style. And I see some people kind of complaining about the quality. You know, a lot of people play, for example, jazz or something really, some metal that come require way more time and quality to put into, and the
Yeah.
old school hip hop. And now I don't understand much, so that's why sometimes we go on WhatsApp and I ask you about what you guys think about this new hip hop, because
Yeah.
I don't understand much the old one, and this new one is so completely different, and people are still getting used to, and I believe it's more popular than pop now. You
It
know, back
is.
in the days I used to listen kind of like in Brazil, Britney Spears was in the top 20s and
Yeah.
boy bands and all those things. A little, I remember seeing Offspring, a little bit, some other bands are jumping in. And now it's so confused that I don't know what is the standard for how things change. You know, like who's in the top or not. Of course, it varies, but it's so confusing for me to have a standard for where this is gonna go from now.
Man, I as as far as like music trends, or as far as like how how artists connect with how you find success in the industry,
Kind of in
like
both ways, you know, because I see as a societal thing. Because I said, have the gatekeepers, there's always money involved. There still
Mhm.
have TV and everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, everybody produce, but still have the people in the top.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
But I mean, I think that you you also have to be able to define what success is, right?
Mhm.
Because if we're talking about the Drakes of the world, right, or the I don't even know, like I'm trying to think, the Lil Pumps of the world, right? Um, that is a different animal in itself, right? Um, but I think that nowadays you're able to be you're able to have I don't know, I'm trying to like you're able to have an existence as a creator,
Mhm.
right? As an artist.
Like a
Um,
voice.
yeah, I think that you're able to at least um, find yourself with something that creates a living for you, right? Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have all this excess money, right? Or that I think that those are two different things, right? So, but if you're able to live off of your art, is one thing versus being that top of the top, right? Um, I don't think that that really. I don't think that that option was as accessible
Mhm.
before, right?
Yeah, I think
And that is what I think the difference is.
I think that's the beauty of it. In a way, you can express yourself as an art
Yeah,
form, and with that, you can have the opportunity for you to be heard.
yeah,
And with that, if you're well or you have the connection, everything, you can succeed from that. The things back in the days you could hear was just like 10 bands basically that was kind of in the top. Like I
yeah,
used to listen a lot of MTV, and they have like their video clips, something that I miss a lot, and now it's all on YouTube in the middle of this ocean of
of stuff.
information.
Yeah,
And now I don't know what to do with it. Like a lot of people use this as a hobby, and I think that's, like I said, is the beauty of you be part of this new transformation into this new society in a way.
yeah.
That great trends, great clothing, and I was remember watching. We talk about the hip hop evolution on
Hmm.
Netflix. The
That's a
documentary.
great show, man. I just started it, but it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So I don't want to spoil, but just saying how that's what I like. It's not just about the music, but what things come behind the scenes. It's
Yeah,
like the whole culture, the idea of getting together and creating something new or creating something old school or just representing like with the rap and hip hop. It goes to racism. It goes to give you a different kind of word. That, for example, lately I was talking to my wife. Basically, like I miss the '90s in a sense of punk rock and hip hop that were more integrated into people's lives. And
yeah,
now it's so many that it's kind of like that kind of lyrics don't have the same point of view. They don't
yeah,
have the same strength. And we get lost in kind of influencing that way. You know, for example, have this political battle
hmm,
happening. And for in my age, I was listening to some lyrics, and those lyrics create kind of a different point into society. And now I don't see the same weight. I don't know
yeah.
if you know what I mean.
No, but that's the way it should be, I think, right? Um,
Yeah.
I think that times change and so do the messages, right? And how we as a society at large interpret everything that we're taking in, right? And those that are creators, right? And maybe the ones that are maybe have more eyeballs on them, right? Um, it just happens to be that it's a different message, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's. I understand what you're saying. You know, sometimes I don't connect with a lot of that either. Um, I often connect with music with a on a production level, maybe, right? Like it interests me to kind of hear different things and see how those things came about, right? But yeah, sometimes I don't really connect with the actual message that is being said, right? There's a lot lately, I think, that feels a little like kind of depressive in a sense, right? Which I personally don't connect with that much, but a lot of that is being put out in the forefront, right? A lot of that is seeing a lot of success, and that is telling of how society is feeling, right? Because that means that a lot of people are connecting with that message, right?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. That's
So how you got into production? What is your start? Where you started?
I started in Miami, really. I mean, I went to school in Orlando. I went to Full Sail. I graduated from there. I got my associates in recording arts, and then I moved down to Miami. That was in 2000, 2002, beginning of 2002. I moved down to Miami. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything down there. I just started looking for work, old school, the phone book. I started
Yellow
like
pages.
I got a list of all the studios in Miami, and every day, like after work, because I was working like in restaurants and stuff. Every day I would just go down the list and I would
Uh-huh.
call and I would call and I would call until I found one. I started working at Crescent Moon Studios, which is the studios of the Estefans, Gloria Estefan, Emilio Estefan.
Cool.
Started working there. Um, and I was there for like 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I was there for 2 years. I started the bottom, right? Like getting food, cleaning the bathrooms, making coffee,
Mhm.
all of that stuff, going shopping for them, all of that. Um, and from there, I moved to another studio called Criteria Recording Studios, which is, I would say, one of the most famous multi-room facilities in the United States, possibly in the world too. It's a pretty big studio. It's been around since the 50s, 1958. Um, I was there for like 5 years. working there as an assistant engineer, and then eventually I went freelance, working with different clients and stuff like that. Um, so that has always kind of been my thing, right? Is the engineering, the sound. I From there I went to work with an independent company called Sonic Projects, and at that point I was fully freelance, right? So those two companies, luckily, I was actually I had a paycheck and I had benefits, everything, which is not usually normal for studio work, right? Studio work generally, you think you're going in, you're getting paid. If you go, you get paid. If you don't, you don't get paid. But in this case, I had my benefits, and I didn't have salary. I mean, I was hourly, but I would, you get paid well. So there's the stability of that, which is interesting. But once you go freelance, that's it, right? You've got to find your own clients, you got to book your own sessions, you got to invoice, you got to make sure you get paid, all of that stuff. And that's hard, man. That was hard. It's hard to maintain, and it's hard to maintain that rhythm. Um, I don't think that for me wasn't my best time, right? When I was just fully freelance, it
Uh,
was hard. It was definitely challenging. Um, what you would call like feast or famine, right? It's either it rains work and you're just like going, 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 or you're like, where's the work? I need work. I need to
uh,
work, right? It's never like balanced.
uh,
Um, I left there in 2000, so I was there for like 11 years. I was in Miami working in recording studios. I also co-managed an independent record label. That was cool. That was cool because that's when I started. Up until that point, I felt like I was just very, what you would call in the industry, what you would call a studio rat. That's all you do, right? You're just recording, you're mixing, you're in the studio. You don't. That's all you see. But when I started working with this independent record label, co-managing them, it kind of expanded my horizons of like, oh, there's other possibilities in the business, right? You can run a label, you can be an A&R, you can be a publisher, a publicist even, right? There's so many things that you could do. And I kind of left there a bit burnt out, to be honest. Like I left Miami because I was trying to escape everything to do with the music industry. Like I didn't want anything more to do with it. I was tired. I was done, and me and the family, we headed out to San Francisco. Actually, we were
oh
there
wow,
for like,
changed completely.
yeah, yeah, like let's get out of here. My two brothers were living there, so I had some support, um, and it was like for not even a year. We were there for like I was there for 9 months. They were there even less than me. Um, but then we very quickly realized like, what the heck are we doing? Like we just picked up, we left. We left everything. I wasn't even working in music. I was working at restaurants again. I was interning at a studio out there that was doing stuff for like commercials and movies and stuff like that. But I wasn't even the engineer. I wasn't. It's almost like I took a step back, right, in a sense. But it made sense for the time period that we were there. For that short period of time, it was like get out, change everything, change of pace, and then we were like, okay, what are we doing? We need to like figure this out.
Uh,
And that's how we ended up back in Orlando. We ended up back in Orlando. I started working at Full Sail. I was at Full Sail for 7 years, teaching there in the recording arts department and the music business department. But because of that, I was able to go back to school too. They paid for my education.
oh,
I
that's
got
good.
my bachelor's in music business. Um, and through my experience at the independent record label, from then I had the idea to start my own music publishing company. Um, And so when I graduated, I immediately I started working for a local in Orlando, a local sync music publishing company, um, managing the catalog that they had, right, of artists and of songwriters, the music. And then they helped me set up my own publishing company, set up my own, and so that's been running since 2017. And then last year, I moved to Tampa to start working at a television station, right? So national television station. I'm engineering there so it's kind of been like I've even though I've been in the industry, I've kind of dabbled everywhere, right? So I have a little bit of knowledge or a lot of knowledge in many areas, right? Um,
Yeah, that's good. I think open a lot of doors for you if you decide in the future do different things.
yeah,
Really
absolutely.
interesting to hear the whole history of how things started and where you at now. I feel really happy for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's been exciting to kind of see like you sort of put the effort in, right? And you get something back in return, right? Like it's been nice to kind of see that and experience it, right? To see like, oh man, I went to school for this long, and my family sacrificed their time, and my wife also went to school during that time. And finally, we're like, okay, this came about. This opportunity actually came through somebody that I used to work with at that studio in Miami,
Oh, that's
and that's how the job came about. So it's like it's a small world, right? It kind of all kind of comes
a
together. So
community, right?
yeah, and it's been cool. Like I think I do my so when I tell you, right, like right now I do my 9 to 5, I would say, working with the company, and then after work, 3, 4 times a week, I work till late on my business, right? Whether it's mixing music, mastering music, or something to do with the publishing company. I have to, whatever it is, right? Help somebody do a remix or connect people with other people or whatever it could be, right? It's always different every day. So I stay busy. But then I have time for the family too, right? There's
Yeah,
balance. I have like
gonna
3, 4 days with the family.
you gotta balance everything now. Yeah, that's the hardest life. So,
Yeah.
man, we're almost closing here. So, you have any advice for the new producers that are coming out, or any idea? What any word for this new generation coming?
I think that the patience, to be honest, I think that often there isn't a lot of patience with the creation process, right? And the striving for success often often takes a lot longer than we think it's going to take, right? And it's so easy to compare yourself nowadays to other people because we have everything in our hands, right? To
Yeah,
be scrolling and comparing. And that is to me, the biggest setback in my career was when I fell in that kind of loop of comparison, right? Like, what am I doing? What do I think I should be doing? And what are they doing out there? And who's better or worse, right? And I don't think it matters, right? Your journey is singular, and if you believe in what you're creating and that's your passion, go for that. Go for that because that I think that belief is what is contagious, right? And that is what attracts success. And it may take longer than you think, but just got to keep at it. Got to keep
yeah,
at it.
yeah. That's great to hear, man. I think that's the same advice I give to people. Keep follow your dreams, but the dreams don't come overnight. You need
Yeah.
to you need to have experience, and then experience brings wisdom, and then with that we see how it goes, right?
Yeah. We start sounding old, but it's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
like
truth.
we talk about the music now. Like I'm not much into the whole trend. I have different points of view into things, and have family now, have dog, and take care of the house, and this whole new
Yeah.
things that develop with aging.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, well, man, thanks again for the opportunity. I'm trying to do short. If you in the future, I would love to have you again and
Yeah, dude. You
keep
let me know.
this
That
thing
would be great.
going. All right.
Cool, man.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.